May God bless the United States, the state of Tennessee, and DeKalb County.
Let us pray. Almighty God, we bow before you, Lord, as we assemble tonight to do the business of your county. Father, we just thank you for the blessings you share upon us, for the county that you've given us to live in, for the state, for the nation, the freedoms that you have given to us. And Lord, as we transact your business tonight, I pray that each one of us will look to you for wisdom and guidance, that your Spirit will guide us in all the things we do, and that we may act accordingly to what you would have us do. And Father, we praise you, and we thank you for your Son, Jesus, and we pray this in his name. Amen.
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 I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, clerk, you can call the roll.
Tom Chandler.
Here.
Tony Luna. Larry Green.
Here.
Beth Pafford.
Here.
Myron Rhodey.
Here.
Greg Matthews.
Here.
Andy Pack.
Here.
Matthias Anderson.
Here.
Glenn Merriman.
Here.
Susanna Cripps. Daniel Cripps.
Here.
Jeff Barnes.
Here.
Sabrina Farler.
Here.
Tony Colwell.
Here.
12 present.
All right. We have our quorum. Our next item on the agenda is public comments. Is there any citizen that would like to make public comments? State your name and either your address or the district you reside in. I'll give you 3 minutes to speak.
Steve Cantrell, District 5. Zoning. DeKalb County needs to establish zoning laws or ordinance to protect the citizens of DeKalb County and to facilitate smart growth for the county. Zoning is basically rules about what a piece of land or property may or may not be used for. In general, there are 4 types: residential, commercial, industrial, and agriculture. When new zoning is established for a county where none has existed before, basically everything is usually grandfathered for the current owner and those that inherit the property. Opponents of zoning, which I've been one in the past but am no longer, excuse me, usually are opposed to the potential of being told in the future what they may or may not use their property for. For example, they might have a nice house in an agricultural setting where they enjoy the tranquil environment, where they enjoy raising their family and socializing with friends and neighbors. They don't plan on changing the use of their property, which they purchased, or in the case of DeKalb County, many of us have inherited. So they've enjoyed this. It's theirs. They don't want to be told what to do with their property. Many of their neighborhood property owners are in the same situation, especially from a quality of life. Now imagine one of those neighbors passes away and leaves the property to an out-of-state relative, a relative who just wants to sell the property and get the cash. They sell it to a new owner, which is a corporation which plans to build a new data center there for either Bitcoin or now AI. A massive structure full of machines that require massive amounts of electricity to not only keep their computers running, but to cool them as well. Without zoning, there's nothing to stop them. But so what? Does it impact you, or does it? The sound from these centers, as the folks in Limestone, Tennessee found out a few years ago, started out as a low hum, then it got louder. Soon, some residents said the noise was like a jet engine idling. The data center operates day and night, growing louder at night and on the weekends, because those are downtimes for the electric power grid. Downtimes when we're at home, usually enjoying ourselves. Bottom line from this example, you still have your property, but if the data center's next door to you, they've just stolen your tranquility. The sounds of nature, it's gone. As I understand from Mr. Conger, and please, sir, correct me if I'm wrong, DeKalb County, without zoning, has its first data center in the process of being built just outside the city limits of Smithville, which does have zoning. Failure to establish effective zoning for DeKalb County deprives both the citizens and government of DeKalb County of a critical tool to protect the value of our property and facilitate smart growth for the county now and into the future. A lot of the information on Limestone, Tennessee, I took from an item in the Washington Post in 2022, and it talks about the challenges and how the tranquil environment of that Appalachian and remote city was destroyed. That's just one example of how zoning can help us protect this county. There are a lot of other issues. Thank you for your time.
Go ahead, state your name and either your address to the district you reside in. We'll give you 3 minutes to speak.
My name is Krista. I live in District 2, and I live down on Vandergrift Road. I just wanted to echo what this gentleman said. My family is in support of zoning, and everybody I know is in support of zoning. I spoke with Daniel Lawrence at TDEC the other day extensively about the SRM quarry. And, we kind of got off topic, and he said, a lot of counties around us have adopted zoning in recent years. And he said, people kind of think zoning is a bad word until it's too late. And he's speaking from the experience of having people come to him with issues and not really being able to help them because he can't do anything from his position and they don't have zoning, so they can't do anything. So I was really struck by hearing him say that and just his perspective of hearing from a lot of different people in a lot of different counties that they don't really necessarily realize how important zoning is sometimes until it's too late, until there's a data center or some other thing we haven't thought of yet that's extremely disruptive to people's lives. And then someone whose property is near something like that and they can't do anything about it, their property value goes down, and that company is not required to compensate them. So we're really talking about like property rights and people just not being able to maintain and have what they worked hard for, So we're really in support of it, and I know it might be a lot of work, but I know there's a lot of counties around us who have done it that would be willing to help with language, and there's people around, if we're ready to help. And so that's all. I just wanted to say we're really in support of it, and we hope that you all will get working on it. Thank you.
State your name and either your address or the district you reside in, and I'll give you 3 minutes to speak.
Paul Dorada, District 2, over in the Daltown side of town. I know this isn't the most important issue probably here tonight, but I think it needs to be addressed, and I'm here to speak in defense of Dr. Dingle and the job that she's done for this community and the poor way I think she's being treated now. I think that it's coming down to personalities, which is no way, the city is run as a business, all right? You've got responsibility to the constituents here. And I think that this is coming down to a personality issue, and we're looking at wasting a lot of money that we don't have by hiring someone new without the same experience that Dr. Dingle has, who's going to cost, from what I've heard, 2-3 times more for no additional value. I think as the executive of this community, you owe it to explain why that is important to do. When we've got someone who has done the job very well for years, who's been a member of this community for decades and has probably treated many people in this room as their doctor. I think it's important that personality come out of this equation. And there are people that have said things to me about other issues, other personality issues with the mayor that I think are very troubling to hear. That when people are afraid to speak up because they're afraid of retribution, that is not a good state for this town to be in, for this county. And I think it needs to be addressed. I think this commission, these commissioners, you need to stand up and do what's right. And if this is a personality issue, you need to put this aside and do what's right for this community and not to do what the mayor wants in this case, which I believe is the wrong thing. Thank you.
State your name and either your address to the district you reside in, and I'll give you 3 minutes.
I'm Starla Hodges. I believe I'm in District 2. I'm here on behalf of Dr. Dingle. I just lost my husband 3 weeks ago, and it's stressful enough to lose someone you love, but to be even stressed more because I can't get a medical examiner to sign off on my husband's death certificate. High's Funeral Home had no idea that Dr. Dingle was not in charge of this. No one had been told. For 2 days, we tried to get someone to sign off on this. Then I finally was told, by the help of Dr. Dingle's office when I got a hold of them, that the phone number I called and the people I talked to said, oh, well, let's see if we can get you some help. And then we found out that whoever was supposed to be doing that was tired and took 2 days to sleep while I was waiting to find out if my husband was going to be cremated and signed off on time for his funeral on Saturday. I've known Dr. Dingle for over 30 years. She has not only been my doctor, but my family's doctor. I'm trying to be factual and not emotional at this time. She has been an excellent doctor and caregiver. She's been supportive emotionally, physically, and everything else. She's an asset to us as a community. If you have a problem with a doctor that speaks her mind and cares this deeply for her people and her patients and her community, then you don't want her. If you want someone that does do this, she's your person. And that's all I have to say, other than I hope none of you ever have to be so stressed at losing someone and then can't get a medical examiner to sign off on them. That's all I have to say.
Go ahead. State your name and either your address or the district you reside in. I'll give you 3 minutes.
You know who I am. I'm Chris Trammell, 2nd District, Liberty. Usually recording these and writing about them, and believe it or not, I hate public speaking. As you know, most of y'all know, I've got a quarry coming in behind me. And it's like I told the committee the other night, I said, used to be good fences made good neighbors. But these quarries coming in are not our neighbors. These are people from out of county, buying up our land and making money on our resources, and they don't care about their neighbors. The quarries, the dust is traveling. It doesn't stop at a fence. The water, the wells getting poisoned or stopping altogether, that doesn't stop at a fence. We got companies in Dowtown and Liberty burning pallets and causing smoke in neighborhoods. And I know somebody said that Dowtown Liberty should take care of that problem. But there's nothing stopping those companies from pulling up, buying land out of Eagle Creek Road or down Veneta subdivision or Blue Springs and doing the exact same thing. And there ain't nothing we can do to stop it. We need to enact zoning. Cannon County has zoning. Cannon County has zoning. We don't. We've got Cheatham County's fighting a methane plant, or a methane facility. I think Grundy County's fighting quarries. We got to have something with some teeth so we can fight back. I don't think anybody here is against a mom and pop store opening or somebody opening up a garage or something like that. We're against these people coming in and making a nuisance for their neighbors. We just got to be able to do something. So please enact zoning.
State your name and your address or the district you reside in. I'll give you 3 minutes to speak.
Jason Rice, I live in Keltonburg, District 2. First off, I would tell y'all, go get a petition to get that zoning passed, but some of our commissioners will say you deceived everybody and that you fooled them and that you lied to them about the petition and hid it, even though it was plainly stated what they signed on there. But to the real reason we're here, Mr. Adcock, you still owe me money from a death investigation that I done because you, sir, did not have the gall to call me yourself, and you had Hoyt and Trent on the line call me and tell me you was going to pay me in a different way. Correct? Yeah, I remember that conversation very well because I told you to stick it up your rear. Remember? I remember it very well. So, that being said, you still do owe me money. However, you fired me right after that and also tried to ban me from county property, which I believe is retaliation. So, me and the lawyer may be talking about that one. I worked for Dr. Dingle at the medical examiners, and stuff was getting better. However, there was a death not too long ago after you said Mr. Phipps over here fixed everything, and I love him to death. He's a good man. There was a death not too long ago, ended up without a medical examiner when they was training to be taught to do it. You sent them home because you didn't want to pay them overtime and then made them do the report. Not to mention the fact it was an EMTB that had never worked one before. How are they going to do a report on something they never knew? Maybe the commissioners need to start doing their own investigation instead of listening to you.
State your name and either your address or the district you reside in, and we'll give you 3 minutes to speak.
Okay. Good afternoon to each and every one of you. My name is Sally. I come from the Four Seasons District. I have been following this all along, and it's very clear that the mayor has a personal issue against Dr. Dingle, Denise Dingle. After calling and talking to Mr. Laxton about salary history, the question is, why are we paying Dr. Cantrell triple the amount of Dr. Dingle made 2 years ago and double what she made last year? I close with this. Why would one choose to pay more when taxes are at its all-time high? So thank you for your time, and I'll donate the rest of my time to someone else. Thank you.
State your name and either your address or the district you reside in, and we'll give you 3 minutes.
My name is Matthew Pitt. I reside in District 2. I'd like to address the Commission and Mayor on implementing zoning regulations in DeKalb County. It's my understanding the Planning Committee will bring a vote tonight to move forward with planning stages of how to implement zoning regulations. I urge you to move forward with the plan and to do so expediently as possible. Currently, I believe there are 3 quarries already in District 2, Rogers Group, located a half mile southeast of the West School, DeKalb County Quarry, 1.5 miles southwest of the West School, Smyrna Ready Mix, located less than 5 miles east from the West School. Additionally, Jones Brothers is trying to get permits to open a quarry on Willoughby Lane, 2.5 miles northwest of the West School. If you allow all these quarries to come in because you don't have zoning regulations in place, that would mean 4 quarries could be operating within the hazardous zone of 5 miles to our school. And as you can see, it is in every direction of our school. No matter which way the wind blows, rock quarry dust will be blowing in their direction. Why does that matter? Have y'all looked at why that matters? Rock quarry dust can pose a number of health hazards, including respiratory issues such as silicosis, bronchitis, asthma, COPD, lung cancer, kidney and liver damage, fertility problems such as miscarriage, premature birth, low birth weight, air pollution, and quarry dust can also settle on plants, blocking photosynthesis and stunting growth. Quarry dust can also contaminate water bodies, changing pH level and harming aquatic life. My wife and I, we moved here 11 years ago, in large part because DeKalb County is a beautiful and peaceful place. We have a 7-year-old son that loves to play outside more than anything. And if Jones Brothers is allowed to open a rock quarry on Willoughby Lane, their property line to ours is only 260 feet apart and 1/4 mile to my backyard where my son spends most of his time. Not only would he be subject to harmful air at school, but at home as well, along with many other children in the area. This is not acceptable. Along with harmful air, rock quarry blasting could also harm our springs, wells, creeks, and water table. Many of the surrounding farms and homes, including mine, have springs and wells and creeks we depend on for our own drinking water and/or for our animals. If Jones Brothers or any other company is allowed to start blasting, that will have detrimental effects to our clean water sources. And we do get water from Alexandria, and we know what that's like. Another harmful side effect of the rock quarry blasts are foundational and structural issues on the homes and the buildings. In April of 2023, Stratified LLC, The blasting company that's being used to widen Highway 70 project caused approximately $30,000 worth of damage to my home. Stratified and Twin K Construction, the GC on the project, both admitted the blast company was at fault. I have yet to receive 1 cent from them to cover the damage to my home. As a result, I had to file a claim with my insurance company. Now my premiums have increased. From experience with these types of companies, they do not pay to fix the homes they damage when they blast. These are the types of businesses we do not need operating in our county. The Jones Brother Quarry must be stopped from opening and operating on Willoughby Lane. You, the elected officials whom we chose to represent us, must act now with expediency and authority which the state of Tennessee has granted you under Tennessee Code 13-7-101 through 119 to implement zoning regulations. It is of the utmost importance to call special meetings to get this done in an expedited manner to prevent Jones Brother from operating on Willoughby Lane. We are dependent on you to act swiftly and to not let them reduce our quality of life. Thank you for your time and your service.
State your name and either your address or the district you reside in.
Greetings, my name is Ocean Ray, and I live in District 2. I'm also here to encourage you all to think about passing zoning regulations expediently. Many other counties in Tennessee have already passed zoning regulations. DeKalb is a bit of an outlier in this regard, which makes us vulnerable to all of these quarries that gentleman was talking about, the data mines that another gentleman was talking about. We are all vulnerable. This body of elected officials was elected by the citizens of this county to protect us, to protect citizens' businesses, not to protect outside entities and corporations for coming into our county and causing all of the problems that gentleman mentioned. I don't know if y'all know this, but DeKalb County has some of the cleanest water in the state. It's also home to a number of threatened, protected species that live in our waterways and caves. I would encourage this body or whoever else can be responsible for doing that, and trust us, we will be talking to the SRM folks when the public comment period opens to investigate how this quarry and other quarries will impact threatened and protected species, as well as the air and water quality that we are all breathing, that children are breathing, that our animals are drinking, that we are drinking. Yeah, I would just encourage y'all to do that tonight, to please pass that. Thank you.
State your name, neither your address or the district you reside in. I'll give you 3 minutes.
My name is Bryna Ashford, and my husband Harold is sitting over there. We live on a farm on Upper Helton Road, just a few hundred yards from the property where the proposed new rock quarry plant will be built. We've owned the original 40 acres since 1964 and purchased the rest of the farm in 1972, bringing the total to 161 acres. No electricity or water was on the original land, nor a passable road, so we've worked very hard over the years to improve the property and to be good caregivers of the land. Now I must say, Jones Brothers chose well when they purchased the property, as the Wilson County line is just a couple of miles up Upper Helton Road. They avoided any restrictions, and also, folks, we got the rock. But if you really want to know how much those quarries hurt the air and the water quality, just talk to the folks around Liberty and downtown and the surrounding areas. But a lot of families have lived in my community for a long time with a rock and have not destroyed the land or the environment. My grandfather settled on Coon Branch in 1917, and there was plenty of good farmland even with the rock. We ourselves raised cattle and hay in spite of some rock ledges scattered in the pasture land and some huge boulders for our goat kids to play on. We got good pasture and hay. Now, it may be too late to postpone or stop this proposed quarry, but if we just sit around and complain, we deserve the consequences. So please, voice your concern about how this quarry will affect our wells. We have 3 that may go dry. The springs, we have a big spring where our cattle get water, and what blasting could do to the water table. And folks, we know the air quality can and will cause health issues in the years to come. So please encourage and beg our county commissioners and the mayor to implement zoning restrictions to prevent the invasion of outside interests into our beautiful county in the future. You and your community may be next. Thank you for allowing me to speak.
State your name and either your address or the district you reside in. I'll give you 3 minutes to speak.
Rodney Laxton, and I'm from the 2nd District. I'd like to thank the County Commission for allowing us to speak tonight. At the end of the last year, we had some problems, and we addressed it. But since then, since the changes, we've come to you, and there's not been any problems, as we've noted. And I want to thank WJLE for letting the information out, because I hear it all over town, that the issues with Dr. Dingle were very unfair, and it's very, it's a personal issue. It's personal because she is willing to stand up for what is right and not bow down to his demands. She has witnessed many episodes where Matt has come out and lost his temper over issues that were clearly defined by the state guidelines. Also, she talked to the county comptroller, where he is trying to make the decision to have her pay the MDIs out of her own pay, and they said no, that is not the way that it should be done. It should be done the way it was done before. Have the county pay for the county service directly to the MDIs. It should be noted also that in 2023, Dr. Dingle made $11,700, and that's for both positions. In 2022, she made $8,400 as EMS and medical director, and both jobs were 1099s. The ME was noted as a per case basis, so it changes every year. But they have the new doctor coming on at $2,000 a month, $24,000 a year, which is double last year's salary and triple the salary before. So the true question is, the pay raise, is that going to a buddy of his that he went to high school with, or should it be the DeKalb County citizens should know for their tax increase next time of why they're paying a higher amount? The other question about the cremations, that he acted like that no other county around does it. The state said that yes, there are many counties that do it. In fact, White, $40. Dr. Peterson, $40 out of Warren County, and we charge $25. The health department charges, the regional forensic center charges. We also want those we want to thank those that have come out to speak up on behalf of Dr. Dingle, because I know they were all concerned about what they would suffer from Matt's vindictive nature of possibly firing him, like as you heard tonight, where he fired one for standing up to him. Lastly, if any of you want to stand up for paying double for the same services, stand up and let your votes be known. Thank you.
State your name and your address or the district you reside in. I'll give you 3 minutes to speak.
You'll give me as much time as afforded to me in the American Disabilities Act. Don't even bother looking at your timepiece. Hello, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to address this audience. My name is Max Knutson. I live at 430 South Driver Road, Dewelltown, Tennessee, 37059. I use they, them pronouns, and this is my preferred method of being referenced. I am a person living with a disability within your county boundaries. I am a farmer, a business owner, and an expert technologist. As a nearly 20-year executive level veteran of the video game, mobile application, and web app industry, I chose to leave that career to seek an easier lifestyle with less stress, more routine, and a healthy living environment. I give consent to what I am saying tonight to be recorded, shared, and open to feedback or questions, as I feel many small farmers in my shoes may not have access to the knowledge and resources that I have. On Freya Day, the 13th of September at 11:31 a.m., I sent an email to this body of commissioners and the mayor. Not one single one of you opened that email. As I would have received a notification on my end that failure to open my written complaint has violated my Americans with Disabilities Act requirements for accessibility. The reason none of you opened that email is that none of you are legitimately operating behind proxy servers, firewalls, authentication processes, and protected emails owned by our county. I have heard someone say it is because we cannot afford it, and I submit to you that you cannot afford not to be protected, nor can we afford to reinvent the wheels every few years because we lack continuity and continuance of ideas and discussion between our council members. For the record, my legal name is Jill Henderson. I am the property owner of the address given and subordinate owner of Shenanigans Community Services, LLC. I'm the co-founder of the Shenanigans retail brand and the full-time farm and business partner of V.E. Garner, proprietor and owner of the Shenanigans herd, a proprietary herd built from scratch, started by 2 goats I purchased from the late Mr. Eddie and Susie at the Herb Cottage here locally. On our farm, we raise livestock, goats specifically, but it is also home to a few chickens, cats, and our companion dog, Kira. Every one of our animals has a name. They are precious to us, as well as the full source of our income as edutainment and sustainable landscaping services. Each one of us is currently living in the clear and present danger of an imminent mining operation owned by Smyrna Ready Mix, SRM. At our farm, we currently produce and make revenue on creating laughter, joy, memories, serotonin, dopamine, and stress-reducing activities. We have been on almost every college and university campus in Tennessee, dozens of elementary schools and secondary schools, some of them affected by gun violence that we did fundraisers for. And we've been in hundreds of private homes and businesses. One of my most cherished memories was taking our goats to the traumatic brain injury department at Vanderbilt. Witnessing the joy and expressions of some patients that were nonverbal gave me spiritual affirmation that this is God's work. I am grateful to have been instrumental in His hands.
Your 3 minutes has subsided.
Shut your mouth. I have been grateful at being an instrumental in His hands, spreading joy and fertilizer, and bringing a creative new venture to goat entrepreneurs. Our farm has been in active operation since 2016 to now, where we are currently threatened by industry. I can speak all night long as a peaceful protest. I can speak all night long as a peaceful protest at this meeting, on the record. On the record. I don't care if you got me cut off. Please pass these around, sir, to the group. You can take me out in cuffs, sirs. You will take me out in cuffs, sirs. You will take me out in cuffs, sirs.
Hey, Dwayne.
You will take me out in cuffs,
Point
sirs.
this way.
You will take me out in cuffs, sirs.
Do we have any other member of the public that would like to?
Do you understand? Everything from the last 2 years that this man has
All right.
done should be revoked and challenged
Mr.
by the
Ant-
people of DeKalb County. Every single thing.
Mr. Antoniak, you can come on up.
Powers Act, now.
State your name and either your address or the district you reside in, and we'll give you 3 minutes to speak.
Your mic's off. It's off.
Press a little button there, Mike.
There you go.
Okay,
Good
it's
deal.
on.
Go ahead. I didn't start it yet. Go ahead.
All right. Mike Antoniak, 2nd District. Last month, I was here petitioning for you to look at the County Powers Act, and I appreciate the fact that you went and looked at it. And I understand it doesn't have the teeth we need, but that they're going to recommend zoning, and I would urge you to embrace it. Unfortunately, without zoning, all it takes is one landowner willing to put personal profit before the common good to really ruin our lives. And it's also a mechanism for controlling and planning ahead. Now, is there a representative of SRM here tonight? Well, they should be, because they have plans for the county. But without zoning, we don't know what their plans are. 2 years ago, they purchased 74 acres in Smithville, stretching from Main Street almost to the golf course. That's 2 years ago. I've since heard that they have petitioned the city for possibly annexing some of that land for low-income housing. Now, I've had an opportunity, they have to submit an application to the state to get this quarry going. So I've had an opportunity to review that. And when they found that they got their land from the person willing to sell us all out, and then they have to do this application, but that application's in process. But they're projecting that they're going to do 1.7 million in sales at that quarry in a year. Okay, I don't know what the county's going to get out of that. 1.7 million. Their application also requires that they describe the level of degradation, that is the negative impact of their quarry, of every potential quarry site. SRM only considered the one site on Drivers Road. Their response in their application is, there will be very little degradation caused from the construction and operation of this facility. Many of us gathered here tonight would strongly disagree. SRM also cites benefits from this quarry. Again, quoting from their application, there will be local employment opportunities associated with the opening of this quarry. Operating this quarry also gives local residents and contractors another crushed stone supplier to purchase from. As for those jobs, SRM projects the quarry will employ a total of 5 at a salary of $22 an hour. 5 jobs. Is that a fair trade? 5 jobs for our health, environment, peace of mind, and the lives we citizens have built here, all to fatten the wallet of an outside corporation with no stake in our community. This is what happens when there is no zoning or nothing in place to guide, control, and regulate what happens to our county. County Mayor Adcock, commissioners, I implore you to do everything within your power to ensure DeKalb County is never easy pickings ripe for exploitation again. Thank you.
State your name and your address or the district you reside in, and I'll give you 3 minutes.
Doug Walters, District 2, Dowelltown, Nashville Highway. A couple of things I just want to echo. I mean, there's been a lot of people said a lot of things that I was going to say tonight, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it, but I'm 100% for zoning. You heard me say that last time I was here. It's ridiculous not to have zoning, and now we're affected by 3 quarries have come into this county. And they're going to be, you know, unless the state stops them, from what I understand, this commission can't do a whole lot about it. So zoning's your only out to prevent this in further application. Couple of things we talked about, joining what Mike said. You know, with SRM, you have them wanting to be annexed into the city. You got them doing the shiny thing up here, saying, look how good we are for your community, while they're doing what they're doing in Dowelltown. My recommendation to the committee I met with the other night was, you need to call these guys on the carpet. If you can't call them in legally, you call them in personally. His website, 9,200 employees, we're a great Christian organization. Well, let's see that. Let's see that in play. You know, let's hear what he has to say. You know, I asked the mayor to call him. He says he will. You know, I'd be willing to come in and talk to him. I've talked to presidents and CEOs of companies all through my life and my career. It's no problem. But let's see what this guy has to say he's going to do for our community. Want to build low-income housing? Great. He'll own the low-income housing and take revenue off of it for the town, from the town. So that's often how that works. So not just SRM, but I think if these quarries end up opening up, you need to call the owners in and ask them what they're doing to your county and see if they have any kind of response. There's a lot of things that they could do that they aren't legally required to do that you could try and enforce on these guys. Blast maps, you've heard me say these things, blast maps. In that application, they said they're going to use runoff water to keep the dust down. We haven't had rain for what, 3 months? Where are they gonna get their water? There's a lot of questions to ask these guys. So my main comment is, if they do go forward, you guys need to call meetings with these guys, and I'd be glad to come in and talk with these guys as one of the citizens involved. You have to team up with the city. I mean, if the city, you know, Mike and I learned from the city mayor about the housing, about wanting to be pulled in, and I've talked to a couple of committee members, you had no idea. So instead of trying to fight this battle on your own, team up with the city and let's call the guy in. Plus, talk to the counties around you for further advice, like Grundy County, like I mentioned to the committee the other night. I mean, they fought this thing all the way to the State Supreme Court for fighting down a quarry. And then the last thing is, you know, this is a statewide problem. And if counties don't start speaking up to your state representatives, the only thing on the state books, as far as we can tell, is they control water runoff and blasting through the fire marshal.
Your time has to stop.
Well, I would encourage 10 seconds. Some people from this committee, and I'm going to do it, need to get in touch with state representatives and start moving forward. You compare this state to Colorado, where my son lives, it's a joke on how they regulate quarries. And the only way that's going to move is if we get some groundswell from the counties going up to the state.
Thank you. State your name and either your address or the district you reside in, and I'll give you 3 minutes.
Lucas Antoniak, District 2, Snells Hill. I mentioned this at the meeting last week, but last weekend I was across from an SRM quarry working at a craft fair, and I watched dust blow off the quarry all weekend long when no one was there working. And there are creeks in Woodbury, you could see the dust. They have a history of not with the government. I'm sorry, I'm very nervous and I wasn't planning on speaking. But they have a history of obfuscating, and they have a history of lying to government regulators. No one's taken into account that this SRM quarry will be within a mile of the New Frontiers camp, which, you know, they have kids there, and that there's a cave there. And has anyone researched whether that is safe to operate a cave with campers? And like Indian Creek as well there's several caves that people come to this county to see, and we should consider the safety of everyone. My daughter plays in the backyard. I watch that dust in Woodbury blow half a mile down the road. We're within half a mile of the quarry. Why should my daughter have to breathe in that dust? And that's all I have to say. Please.
All right, state your name and either your address or the district you reside in. Give you 3 minutes.
Hello, my name is Aspen Flaherty, and I reside in District 2. So as some of you know, I'm a critical care paramedic here in DeKalb County, and I've also worked as the MDI investigator. I have resided in DeKalb County for the past 26 years. I'm here to show my support for Dr. Dingle. I have worked in multiple counties, and I can state for a fact that Dr. Dingle is the best medical director that I have worked for. She is always a phone call away if I ever had any question, whether it be when we're actively on a call or after a call to run over any information. She has always been there to answer my phone call and explain things, and I'm very thankful for that. I can say that I have worked at a different county for 5 years, and I never once had that medical director's phone number, nor have I ever seen that medical director in person, which I've called Dr. Dingle multiple times. So that, to me, shows how active she is as a medical director. The medical death investigation system, it's claimed to be completely fixed, and you kind of get fed that information. However, that is not the case. Last Wednesday, I was in Cookeville. I was taking my mom for rehab on her knee, and I got a phone call that there was an MDI needed at the scene, and there was nobody to take it. I advised I'd be 45 minutes out, but I would do it whenever I got back in town. I was in layperson clothing. I ran the call because I would be the fastest person to get there. This is nobody's fault, as there's always going to be times that it's going to take a prolonged amount of time for somebody to get to a scene. That's just how it is. If the ambulance are busy, because what comes first is going to be our citizens. That should always come first. Getting somebody there to help ones who are still alive and in the care they need. However, we do need to make an effort to try to get somebody there a little faster to our deaths. This is also what Dr. Dingle got in trouble for, is having prolonged ETAs to the scenes. I do not know Caleb Cantrell personally. He may be a good person, he may be a great doctor, but that does not excuse the fact of how Dr. Dingle was treated, as she gave most of her life to serve this county. I personally believe that Dr. Caleb needs more experience before attempting to run a county. As I could tell when I had to contact him, he was inexperienced in the process, which is not his fault. He's inexperienced. He just graduated school. Okay? Whereas Dr. Dingle is highly knowledgeable. She's done this for many, many years. Personally, I believe that if you would have asked, Dr. Dingle would have took him under her wing and would have trained him to understand the ins and outs of this process so that when she retired at her choice, that he could have took over. Also, Dr. Dingle did this job for significantly less than Caleb. I used to make $100 per death investigation that I did. I now make roughly $57 to do the exact same job that I was doing, but y'all can pay Caleb Cantrell $2,000 a month. This is why you're having a hard time getting MDIs. There are many people that feel the exact same way that I do. However, they are scared for repercussions and scared of fear of losing their job. Please use your position. Matt, we used to be friends. I respect you. Please use your position to be a leader and not a bully.
Travis Bryant, District 3. Couple things. I know the last time this zoning issue come up, I wasn't really on board with it all the way, I don't think. But in recent years, there's definitely a need for it now. I can see it all over the county. Even in my neighborhood, it's not a quiet neighborhood anymore. We've got building going on. My neighbors were telling me they're putting an ATV park in behind me, and that's the last thing I want to do is sit in my backyard and listen to four-wheelers all day. But nevertheless, I do see a need for the zoning. I think it's appropriate to have something, and we definitely should consider something. The second thing I've got is Dr. Dingle. I'm going to bring this up because I know everybody's got their own experiences. My experience with her, she's always been more than helpful. I got a call in January when I was in Alexandria leading that department down there about some training that had come up that I was really interested in taking. I went, and I think it made me better for it. I had a death investigation, a suspected overdose investigation around the 1st of July. This was about midnight. I left my home at midnight. I came out, I went to Alexandria, and her and Lonnie were sitting right there with me in the driveway until the scene was wrapped up. I've been very appreciative. She's always been more than helpful to me. And I think that her actions should be at least noteworthy in this consideration. So, but thank you for your time, guys.
State your name and either your address or district you reside in, and I'll give you 3 minutes.
My name's Trevor Merriman. I live off Juniper Lane in the city. I've been a resident of DeKalb County since 2018. Made DeKalb County my home, fell in love with Smithville back then. I'm a full-time paramedic for DeKalb County EMS. I obtained initial training as an MDI in 2019. I worked under the late J.C. Wall. I worked alongside with Mayor Adcock and a few others that were employed by DeKalb County at the time doing death investigations. In 2021, I went through the St. Louis University MDI 40-hour-a-week training with Denise Dingle. As she accepted, after the death of Dr. Wall, she accepted the appointment to run the ME's office. Right after that, she gave me a call and asked if I would be her deputy ME. Worked a lot with Sheriff Ray, Travis. We worked a lot together, worked with local law enforcement as a deputy ME. My responsibilities through that time were to be a liaison between Dr. Dingle and then the other death investigators on our team. They were all employees of DeKalb County EMS. You had to be available 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, taking phone calls with funeral homes, with families, answering questions. Had authority to represent her office in ordering autopsies. She put a lot of trust in me. I trusted her decision-making, her leadership, and I believe she did the same with me. We got into some trouble and had some personnel problems about calling people and saying, hey, we got a death in the county. Can you come out and do this investigation at 2 or 3 in the morning? With all the guys working at DeKalb EMS, if it was their day off, they could say no. They didn't want to take that. It was strictly voluntary. We were not mandated to do these investigations, and we only got paid when we did do the investigations. At her request, in 2022, Dr. Dingle requested that I write a policy and procedures manual for the DeKalb County Medical Examiner's Office because there was not one. We kind of just went off the state book, and they give you a few guidelines on how to run an investigation, and if you had questions, call them. Dr. Wall didn't have a policy and procedure manual, and I wrote a nearly 40-page policy and procedure manual. Dr. Dingle liked it. We presented it to the mayor's office in late 2022, early 2023, and to this date, to my knowledge, we don't have a policy and procedure manual still for the ME's office. I stepped down in late 2023 as the deputy ME because I felt like the medical examiner's office was not getting the support from the county that it needed. Denise was always a phone call away if I needed her. I've reached out to a few commissioners to no response. I have had one-on-one conversations with Matt Adcock, and we've discussed this over the last year on how to get an ME's office to run smoother. I've offered my advice and my thoughts just from my educated view, and I was never contacted back by any commissioners.
Trevin, your time has subsided.
I appreciate y'all to let me talk tonight, and I'll continue to serve as a paramedic and continue to work in my role as a death investigator.
All right, state your name and either your district or your address. I'll give you 3 minutes.
My name is Dr. Denise Dingle. I reside in the Crossroads community of District 2. I would like to thank Myron Rohde for his service to the citizens of District 2, and I'd also like to thank Jeff Barnes for inviting me to come speak. I have been a resident in DeKalb County since September of '91, and which is over 33 years. And that's longer than I've been a resident in anywhere else. I have been a medical doctor since May of 1982, and I was in the military at that time. I have served over 14 years I have served almost 14 years in the military, and where I was a physician until 1991, September of 1991, when I came to DeKalb County. I have been the EMS director, EMS medical director since 2013, and the ME since August of 21, following the death of Dr. J.C. Wall. And my term is not due to expire until August of 2026. I think it says a lot that not one single person who works with me or under my license has ever lodged a single complaint against me as either the ME or the EMS medical director, except for Matt Adcock. You have also heard no complaint against me as either your ME or medical director from any law enforcement official. The only person against me is Matt Adcock, and I believe that he is upset because as a woman, I have directed comments to him that I have thought would help him in his service as an EMT. I provided first correction when he made a mistake that I was concerned that it might cause him to lose his EMT license. I explained why. And the second one was due to the fact that I had witnessed on several occasions that he had fairly aggressive behavior, and after several of them, I'm afraid I did lose my patience, and I began to speak to him, as one individual would say, in military speak. So I apologize that I used a different language, and I apologize that you were offended by it. I stand behind everything in my office has done for the citizens of DeKalb County, both as the ME and the EMS medical director. You do not have to follow the mayor's failed leadership. I wish to continue to serve this county as your ME, and I ask that you vote to allow me to do this. But even in the event that you choose not to allow me to continue, ask yourselves, at a time when we're having to raise taxes in order to build a new school and the Justice Center, both of which I want you to know I stand behind and I feel we need, you are also asking to increase the taxes to pay for a new EMS director and ME, which will be 2 to 3 times more than what you currently pay me, and what I believe you paid Dr. J.C. Wall. I trust that you will all make the right decision and the just decision. Thank you.
All right, I don't see anybody else coming to the podium, so we'll move on to the, oh, go ahead. State your name and either your address or the district you reside in, and I'll give you 3 minutes.
My name is Jana Gibbs. I live in District 5, 8061 Sparta Highway. Quite a few things I wanted to address, just like with Dr. Dingle. One thing, me going to college, is to be a lawyer. Are you 100% certain any cases that she's done, and this is something you need to consider as well, all the cases that she has done in the past, can any of the defensive lawyers reopen them cases? And you firing her, can they say, oh, well, due to whatever she's being fired for instance, the couple out on Short Mountain Highway with the hammer incident, who's to say, you know, the defense can sit there and tell them, you know, well, with her negligence, we can reopen this case, and they can, by law. We don't want that. We don't want to put those children, especially, through something like that. I wouldn't. I've got kids. Wouldn't want none of my kids to go through anything like that. With this zoning, I've got mixed feelings for it. Had an incident in Dowtown where I had chickens. Miraculously, they said that we had ordinances in place. We never did. You know, they said that we was in city limits. It wasn't in city limits. It was in the county. Anytime you call law, county showed up. Not the police, you know, not the city. And for some miracle, you know, people could smell chicken manure during winter when everything's frozen. Don't see how, but they did. Needless to say, $5,000 lawyer later, they dropped it. Even with quarries, it's happening all over the United States of America. We're having them in different places of the world. You know, it's always a problem. Even if you do, just like Trousdale County. They just had an incident in 2022 where they did agriculture zoning. Quarries still come in. They put an ordinance in place and they finally got it stopped. But they had to get an ordinance to hinder that problem in order to stop it. Things about the school I wanted to discuss. We've had 3-4 bomb threats this past week. That's uncalled for here. My kids go to school here. I was born, bred, and raised here. And with my kids going to school, I shouldn't have to worry. I can go to middle school. There's a big gap. Anybody can shimmy over that and be in there in no time. Nobody realizes it. Where's the metal detectors? You go to Montlow College, guess what you're walking into? Metal detectors. We got $10,000, why ain't we buying that? Playgrounds are useful for kids, I agree. But safety should be #1 concern, because these are our future. You hear about it every single day, about how many kids get shot, killed, bomb threats. We don't need to let that happen. There's 21,000 people in DeKalb County. Only 3,000 vote. That's not a lot. That's saying something. I don't vote. The reason why I don't vote, I don't see a reason to. But thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
All right. We'll move on to approval of our agenda. Anybody like to make a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll make the motion to approve the agenda.
Motion by Greg.
I'll second it.
Seconded by Myron. Any discussion? All right. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Approval of the minutes from our prior meeting. Go ahead to make a motion to approve those minutes.
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Glenn.
Second.
Seconded by Sabrina. Is there any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Our financial report, we had our local option sales tax report. Would anybody like to make a motion to approve that report? Motion by Daniel. Seconded by Colwell. Is there any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. Budget amendments, we got one from the Board of Education. Anybody like to make a motion to approve budget amendment presented by the board?
I'll put that in the form of a motion.
Myron made a motion.
Second.
Seconded by Matthias. Is there any discussion? All right, hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. We have several from Fund 101. Would anybody like to make a motion to combine and approve all the budget amendments presented in Fund 101?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Matthias,
Second.
seconded by Myron. Is there any discussion? All right. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Fund 116, the solid waste fund, we have one budget amendment in that fund. Is there any motion to approve Fund 116's budget amendment?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Beth,
Second.
seconded by Larry. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Our committee reports. Anybody like to make a motion to acknowledge the Health, Education, Public Welfare, and the Public Works Committee meeting minutes?
I'll make that motion.
All right, Larry
Second.
made a motion,
Second.
seconded by Matthias. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. Our new business, appointment of the chairman and pro temp for the county commission. Anybody like to make a motion for chair and pro temp? As chairman of the commission?
I decline that.
Okay.
I'll nominate Matt Edcock for chairman.
All right.
Second.
Jeff Barnes made a motion to appoint me as the chairman of the county commission, and Tom Chandler seconded that. Is there any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? All right, motion passes. And pro temp? Tony Cowell made a motion to nominate Jeff Barnes as pro
Second.
temp, seconded by Myron. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. Committee appointments. Would anybody like to make a motion to approve the presented committee appointments?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Tom,
Second.
seconded by Myron. Is there any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. Dismissal of Dr. Dingle and the appointment of Dr. Cantrell. Anybody like to make a motion to dismiss Ms. Dr. Dingle and appoint Dr. Caleb Cantrell as the medical examiner?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Tom Chandler,
Second.
seconded by Glenn. Is there any discussion?
Are we doing a roll call vote?
Yeah, we can do that if you would like.
I like a roll call vote.
Let's do a roll call, Jimmy.
Did,
Greg. I'm sorry, go
I
ahead.
had a question.
Yeah.
Did you already remove her from the medical
Director, yes.
director position?
Yes, ma'am.
And you appointed Caleb Cantrell to that position,
correct.
correct?
Yes, ma'am.
So, before we take the vote, I would like to make a statement for, it's kind of ironic that people are praising one for a attitude and condemning another for having an attitude on this matter. Everybody's upset at the mayor because they feel that he's picking on Ms. Dingle, but praising the doctor as their own statements, kind of having an attitude towards the mayor too. I've never hid my feelings about the doctor, but I've made it clear where I stand as a commissioner. I'm here for budgetary reasons, so I'll vote based on budgetary.
Greg Matthews.
I say we keep Miss Dingle.
Myron Rhodey.
Now, if I vote no, it's not to let her go, correct?
Right. If you vote.
That's a no.
Yeah. Voting no, Dr. Dingle will stay the medical examiner.
That's a
Voting
no.
yes, she will be dismissed.
Beth Pafford.
No.
Larry Green.
Yes.
Tom Chandler.
Yes.
Andy Pack.
No.
Matthias Anderson.
Yes.
Glenn Merriman.
Yes.
Daniel Cripps.
No.
Jeff Barnes.
Yes.
Sabrina Farler.
Yes.
Tony Colwell.
No.
6-6.
All right. Motion fails due to majority. So Dr. Dingle will stay our medical examiner. All right. Our county commission policy and procedures. Anybody like to make a motion to approve the policy and procedures for the county commission?
Make a motion to approve.
Motion by Larry.
Second.
Seconded by Greg, I think.
Matter.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Supporting zoning in DeKalb County. We were gonna make a motion of support and refer it to the planning commission in order to come up with the ordinances and the
I'll make
layout.
that motion.
I'll second that.
Motion by Larry and seconded by Myron.
Mhm.
Is there any discussion?
Yes, can I make a comment that as part of this also be included as to what this will cost the county? Because you're gonna need an inspector.
Right.
We should understand what the costs of that are, what's required to go with that person, what the various ramifications are of going through the process of defining what is in which zone and who's gonna do that, how it's going to be done, and what the cost is gonna be.
Okay. I'm not quite sure what the cost would be yet. We would have to hire someone to enforce it. And then the planning commission would come up with the criteria.
Thank you for sharing Cannon County's example. That was very helpful. And it could be that Tommy Lee will say that he can't say anything about how much it's going to cost. That may be a budget committee thing.
And there will be public hearings on this, correct?
Yes, and we will have a public hearing, yes. So this is just a motion of support, I guess, giving the planning commission a go-ahead. Let's go ahead and roll call, Jimmy, if you don't mind.
I have a question for you.
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
So could you kind of talk through the timeline a little bit? So it would go from here, from this commission with support.
Right.
The next step would be the
Planning
commission, and then does it come, the community kind of was wondering these questions.
Yes,
You get
so
those telephone
we would
calls.
have a public hearing
Okay.
before a resolution
Okay.
come to the table of this commission. We'll have final approval after that public hearing.
So in a perfect meeting situation, you're
Right.
talking like, we have a meeting once a month unless a
Right.
special called meeting.
It would be a 3 or 4 month process.
A three-
more
that's
than
what-
likely.
okay, so a
Yeah.
3 or 4
Maybe
month.
even longer, depending on,
Yeah, I'm not trying to drag our heels. I'm
No.
just letting the community realize that,
right,
so from here to the planning commission,
right. Then you have to have a public hearing.
does it got to be brought back to the commission before it
Yes.
comes to public hearing?
Has to have
Yeah,
a
no.
full resolution prepared.
Right.
And everything completely lined out and exactly how that ordinance will be taking place and what areas will be what. And then the resolution will hit the table for this committee to vote on. So,
Would
it's a
that-
lot of planning
Would that
in
employee
between.
need to be in place before? Not really, yes or no, or you're not sure?
Technically, you could pass it without the employee, but then you're not gonna have anybody to enforce your zoning regulations.
So you hire somebody.
It would make sense to do, couple those together and being ready to hire someone and come up with the ordinances at the same time would be, I guess, the most ideal desire. Yep. Any more questions before we vote?
Could we possibly hold a town hall meeting on this? I mean, you're always gonna have those in favor and you're gonna have those against.
Right.
And whatever we can do to inform the public prior to this would, I think, would help speed this process up also, and not catch it on the backside. Try to inform them up front before we invest this time into this, and then we get negative feedback back.
Well, we do have to have a public hearing.
But that's after,
You saying you would like one before the planning
I
commission?
would like to.
Okay, so that would be before,
I mean, I don't know.
before
Mayor.
the support.
No one is gonna know what's in that zoning until after the planning commission comes up a plan for us in order to hear what's in it. That public hearing then all that will come out in a public hearing.
Yes, I would think that having some kind of public hearing before we had any idea what the planning commission might propose is liable to cause more confusion and anxiety than is necessary. Because
Well-
I've looked through the Cannon County thing, and I see a number of things in there that would concern me as a citizen of DeKalb County. And so I think I would want to see what the planning commission was proposing, or planning
Correct.
committee was proposing before we had and give the public an opportunity to see what they're proposing before we have a town hall to discuss it. Which
And
we
all
would-
those planning commission meetings will be open to the public.
All meetings are open to the public.
Yeah.
Related to that topic.
I agree with Mr. Chandler. If we have a meeting prior to anything being planned out, we don't have anything to meet about. We don't have anything to show them. I think we need to have something, it's not gonna be in stone, it's gonna be, can be mixed around and moved around, but we need to have something to show them.
I agree with Andy, because if we vote tonight, not one person in my district that I've talked to, and Tony said it also, is for this at all. So if we vote tonight, I'm gonna have to go based on that, so.
All right, so we're gonna do a roll call vote, and if you vote yes, you're saying for this zoning idea to go ahead and go to the planning commission for them to come up with the criteria that will be our zoning. And then we would have a public hearing afterwards and then resolution. If you vote no, that would stop it from going to the planning commission. So if you were in support of doing a public hearing or town hall meeting or something before it goes to the planning commission, you would vote no. Does everybody understand? All right, Jimmy, can you call the roll, please?
Andy Pack,
Yes.
Matthias Anderson,
Yes.
Glenn Merriman,
Yes.
Daniel Cripps,
Yes.
Jeff Barnes,
Yes.
Sabrina Farler,
Yes.
Tony Colwell,
Yes.
Greg Matthews,
No.
Myron Rhodey,
Yes,
Beth Pafford,
Yes.
Larry Green,
Yes.
Tom Chandler.
Yes.
11 yes.
All right, motion passes, so we will send that on to we'll send that on to the planning commission and have them work on that. I'll let Tommy Lee know. Any other business? Anybody got anything before we go on? All right. Notaries, Amy Brooks, Butch Cook, Sue Griffiths, Karina Hernandez, Abigail Summers, Teresa Sunsera, Jessica Taylor. Anybody like to make a motion to elect these notaries?
Second.
Motion by Colwell and seconded by Larry. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. Anybody like to make a motion to adjourn?
I want to thank the public for showing up. That's what we need at every meeting. I mean, it's not very difficult to have a meeting when you don't have but 3 sitting in the crowd. So I like to see the public getting involved.
Anybody like to make a motion for adjournment?